Hi there, my name is Mike and I'm from Canada. And today I'm watching this video where we're looking at the differences between the pronunciations between American English and British English. And as a Canadian, I thought I'd throw my 2 cents in and share what our pronunciations here are like in Canada because I think we have a mishmash of influence from the UK and influence from the United States. And so this YouTuber here, Girl Gone London, is going to share what she has learned after living as an American in the UK for a few years. So let's see what she's got, and I'll share with you what my thoughts and comments are on these different pronunciations.
Pulling together this list, I noticed that many words we use different pronunciations for are originally French words. For example, in the UK, many people say fillet, while in the US, we say fillet. In the UK, many people...
In Canada, we would say fillet. There we go. I got one that were similar to the United States. Maybe I'll keep a score here and see how many are similar to US, how many are similar to UK, and see where we end up at the end.
say massage, and in the US, we say massage. Similarly,
we would also say massage in Canada.
In the UK, it's salon. I kind of overemphasize that, but you get the idea. And in the US, it's salon. And one I get made fun of like for in the UK is this word, which according to a very helpful Google pronunciation tool, because I'm still not sure I have it right, in the UK, it sounds much more French, and they would say like croissant. Is that right? Something like that. In the US, I say croissant. Emphasis on the aunt. I've dug a little bit deeper into why this is.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, a French word. Yeah, I would say croissant. That's with my English Canadian accent. If I was trying to say it with my French Canadian accent, not that I'm fluent in French, but I might roll my R a little bit. Still, it would sound pretty similar. Croissant. So that's how I would say it here. Interesting.
And learned that in many words taken from French, Brits will nativize the stress syllable, while Americans will use the stress syllable as the French do. This doesn't hold true for all examples, though. Another explanation for ones where that doesn't hold is that Americans generally approximate the modern French pronunciations, whereas the British pronunciations derive from the pronunciations that were used in Middle French at the time the words were borrowed, before America even knew it was going to be a thing. In fact, France was spoken by the nobility in England for about 300 years between 1066 and 1362, and there are so many more English words derived from French, including beef, ballet, bouquet, cafe, concierge, chandelier, debut, restaurant, and souvenir. It makes sense, too. France and England are so close that despite being separated by water, you can see France on most days without binoculars across the English Channel from Dover. If there's one thing I've actually felt a bit left out on in the UK, it's that people here have a greater understanding of French typically for obvious reasons than we do in the US. Many British people learn some French at school, so even if they don't retain everything or ever become close to fluent, I seem to always be the outlier who can't count to even 3 in French.
Yeah, that's interesting that she mentions the French relationship there. And in Canada, we have a very strong French influence as well. So it's something that maybe I don't notice, but I do. There's certain words in Canada that we use that I know are not used in the US, like serviette. And actually, I don't know if you use that word in the UK, but serviette is another word for napkin, and we use it interchangeably here. It's a French word, but in a restaurant, if you ask for a serviette, you would get a napkin, and no one would question you on it. But I know when I go into the US, if I ask for a serviette in a restaurant, they will look at me strangely, and I say, "Oh, wait, yes, sorry, I'm in the US. I would like a napkin, please." There's other words like that as well, but yeah, it's interesting that, of course, the languages are influencing each other, and the French influence, of course, is playing a role here, as she's mentioning.
Topic of of words that aren't French, but I still am never entirely sure how to pronounce, let's go over some more different UK and US pronunciations. While your pronunciation may differ slightly, these are the generalized pronunciations used in each country. In the UK, they say Baroque, and in the US, we say Baroque. In the UK, they
I would say Baroque. Although, like she said earlier, that word almost never comes up, so you could live for a
say
couple of
Buddha.
years and
In the US, we
not hear
say
it.
Buddha. In the UK,
Buddha.
they say Nissan. In the US, we say Nissan. In the UK,
Interesting. Oh, okay. The name of the car company, Nissan. I say Nissan. I don't say Nissan. So what did she? She said Americans say Nissan. I didn't notice that before. Let's just see what she said
in the
again.
UK, they say Nissan. In the US, we say Nissan. In
Oh yes, I'm definitely with the UK on this one. I say Nissan. Yeah, I never say Nissan. No, never say it. So I guess, yeah, it's again, like I said, Canada's kind of ping-ponging back and forth. In this case, we're with the
the
UK on this
UK,
one.
they say pasta. In the US, we say pasta. In the
Oh,
UK,
okay. Now that's interesting. I also would say pasta in Canada, but that's, I think, in different parts of the US, I think it's different. When I was in California one time, the word garage was a word they said, and I would say garage. You know, that building you put your car in, garage versus garage. I think that's similar. It's the A pronunciation here with the pasta versus pasta. And in where I am in Canada, we would say pasta, not pasta. But interesting difference there.
they say lieutenant. I'm not even sure I can say that the exact right way. In the US, we say lieutenant.
I've heard it for sure pronounced both ways, and if someone said lieutenant, I wouldn't really bat an eye. We have something called a lieutenant governor in our provinces, and those are all representatives of basically the king. But if someone said lieutenant governor, I would also not, like a lieutenant in an army or something, I would not bat an eye either. Lieutenant, I've heard both. Probably I would default to lieutenant, though, would be my first stop on the pronunciation there.
In the UK, they typically say taco, and in the US, we say taco. In the UK,
Interesting. That's that A again. So pasta, and taco. We have a small chain of restaurants here called Taco Time, and I call it Taco Time, not Taco Time. Although Taco Time. You know, those both work for me. I would probably say taco first. Yeah.
they say niche, and in the US, we say niche. In the UK,
Okay. This that's a great one. I would definitely say niche. I would not say niche. Although, again, if someone said niche to me and they were in a conversation, I probably wouldn't really bat an eye. I would just keep on listening. But I would definitely say niche first and foremost.
they say basil. In the US, we say basil. In the
I
UK,
say
they
basil.
say adult. In the US, we say adult. In the UK,
That's so interesting. She's got really good examples. Let me think about this one. Adult or adult? I would probably say adult. That's how I would go with it.
they say apricot. And in the US, we say apricot.
I say
In the UK,
apricot.
they say advertisement. And in the US, we say advertisement.
I say
In the UK,
advertisement.
they say address. In the US, we say address. In the UK,
Oh.
they
Wow. Address or address. These are tough ones because they both sound right to me, and not that one's right or wrong, but I say both sound fine to me. Like nothing. Address. What's your address or what's your address? What's your address? What's your address? I'd probably say address. Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah, I think I'd say address.
they say boy. In the US, we say buoy.
Oh, I would say buoy. Although, again, one of those words that don't come up very much, but I would say buoy. Although I've said boy before too. Boy. Where's the boy? Buoy.
In the UK, they say debris. And in the US, we say debris.
I
In
would
the
say
UK,
debris.
they say dynasty. And in the US, we say dynasty.
I would say dynasty.
In the UK, they say herb. And in the US, we say herb.
I
In
would
the
say
UK,
herb.
they say leisure. And in the US, I'm almost getting the countries wrong. This is kind of hard, guys. In the US, we say leisure.
Leisure.
In
I
the
would say
UK,
leisure.
they say missile. And in the US, we say missile. In the UK,
Probably say missile.
they say military. And in the US, we say military.
I would
in
say
the UK,
military.
they say premier. And in the US, we say premier. In the UK, they
wait,
say
hang on.
tune.
Let's say those again. Those didn't sound different to me, or hardly different. Okay, let's listen to premier and premier. I think it premier.
We say military. In the UK, they say premier. And in the US, we say premier.
Okay, well, I have a third pronunciation then for that one, because the leaders of each of our provinces in Canada are called the premier. Premier, not premier, and not the other one. I forgot. They're all kind of similar, but the premier of our province, the premier, yeah, that's how I would say that one. It's interesting. I got a third. I think that's the first one where I've had a third version of the pronunciation now. So, yeah, interesting.
In the UK, they say tune. Hope I got that right. And in the US, we say tune.
Oh, yes, I've heard this one before. Tune versus tune, and I would say tune. Yeah, it's tune.
In the UK, they say privacy. In the US, we say privacy.
Privacy,
In the UK, they say produce. No, they don't. In the UK, they say produce. No, is that it? How do you say this? The fruit and vegetables. I think you say it.
I would say it either way.
We
Produce
Americans say
or
produce. Guys, I'm breaking
produce.
the system here. Okay.
Produce. Well, it depends. If you're talking about vegetables, I would say produce or produce. Now, this word can also mean to make something, to produce something, and that's how I'd say it. I'd say produce. So I'd say produce, probably for vegetables. I'd say produce. If you're building something, let's see what she says here.
Okay. In the US, we say produce. In the UK, they say produce. I'm pretty sure. Not like to produce something, but like fruits and vegetables in a store. Okay. In the UK, they say root. In the US, we say route. Also,
Again, I'm thinking about, I might say it either way, route or route. Both sound right to me. What route are you going to take to work today? Yep, that's what I'd say, route. I would say, what route are you going today? Or what is the route you're taking? What is the route you're taking? Either of those works for me. I don't know if I'd probably say route. That's probably what I'd start with. Yeah. But both sound okay.
sometimes I say root. Depends on what I'm talking about. In the UK, they say Van Gogh. And in the US, we say Van Gogh. In the UK,
Oh, wow. That's very different. I hadn't heard that pronunciation before. I guess it's not long. Van Gogh. Van Gogh. I had never heard that pronunciation before. That does stand out to me as quite different. Van Gogh is definitely how we would pronounce it here in Canada. So that's very interesting.
they say vitamin. And in the US, we say vitamin.
Vitamin,
In the UK, they say Z. And in the US, we say Z.
In
the
Canada,
UK,
we say Z. Yes, that is something that occasionally comes up when you're talking to someone from the United States. We have a lot of influence through, of course, US TV. And as a child, we'd sometimes watch children's shows from the US, and they have this mystical letter at the end of their alphabet called Z. But here in Canada, we have a Z. So it's interesting. We even had a store that had a club, and it was called Club Z, and it was simply the letter Z. It was not called Club Z, and that store doesn't exist anymore. But They had Club Z. Yeah, that is definitely a difference, and that's we're on the UK side on that one for sure.
They say zebra, and in the
Oh.
US we say zebra.
I'd say
Those
zebra.
are honestly just a few of the many words that we say differently, but I thought I'd cover some of them here. Leave a comment down below with other ones that you've noticed, because I do find these very interesting, and some of them it literally has taken me 10 years to realize that we say them differently. For instance, I was so confused when people kept making fun of the way that I said tune. And they were like, it doesn't rhyme with Dune. And I was like, well, it does to me. And I didn't realize that it was a slightly different pronunciation.
I would say it rhymes with Dune. I guess that's a disagreement we have. But in any case, yeah, that's very interesting. So I learned a lot in this watching this video. I hadn't realized there were so many different pronunciations. Even the word pronounce, is it pronunciations or pronunciations? I can see there's different ways to say that word as well. So it's interesting, and you know, being in Canada, we have influence from our immediate neighbors to the south, and we have influence from the UK with our shared history with the Commonwealth. And then we have lots of French influence as well, because there's a large French-speaking population in Canada. So it's very interesting to hear these differences, and hopefully I was able to share today my thoughts on some of these, and some of them I'm a little bit unsure on myself, a little bit confused, got me thinking. I'll have to pay more attention over the next couple of weeks how I'm pronouncing some of these words. Check my pronunciation. So in any case, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for future videos. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.